Welcome to Flashpoints. I'm Jeff Pegues, joined by CBS News senior national security analyst Juan Zarate. The president saying that U.S. troops, 50 U.S. Special Forces troops will be introduced into Syria. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Is this a game changer in terms of boots on the ground?
Well, I think the president certainly crossed a Rubicon here. He had committed to not having what he in the administration call combat troops, boots on the ground. This is clearly that, even though the administration is trying to couch this as simply having advisors who are going to be supporting allies like the Kurdish Peshmerga. But the reality is you're putting American Special Operations Forces on the ground in northern Syria in harm's way potentially. The Secretary of Defense has committed to more raids as part of our effort. And so there's no question that this is higher risk. You now have boots on the ground. And this certainly does change the complexion of U.S. policy vis-a-vis what's happening in Syria.
Well, what is an advisor? We hear that term a lot lately. What exactly is an advisor?
Well, a few things. If you bring a special operations contingent on the ground, you bring not just those 50 troops, you bring all the supporting elements with them. You bring the intelligence resources of the U.S. government. You bring the symbolism and morale that comes with having American troops in your midst as you're planning and strategizing. So what these advisors can do is they can bring information to bear, they can help strategize, they can help choreograph the way that battles or raids may be undertaken. They may be involved, as we saw with the hostage rescue, the rescue of 70 hostages where Sergeant Wheeler was killed. And so it's a full complement of activities. The reality is, in that kind of an environment, it's dangerous, it's not insignificant, and it does reflect a sea change in terms of how the U.S. is engaging.
But the president has said that they won't be on the front lines. They're going to be close to danger.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say that they're not going to be the tip of the spear, they're not going to be the infantry. That's understandable, but the front lines in Syria are incredibly fluid, and you know, these troops can be attacked from enemy forces. They can be you know, assaulted in ways that are not planned, and you may need these troops actually to help and support if in fact our allies are in real trouble on the ground. And you've seen a bit of that creep with the involvement of U.S. forces in these raids. The other thing here, though, Jeff, is important to note, this gives us some more situational awareness. Part of the problem in Syria is we haven't had our own eyes and ears on the ground. And so this adds to that component of our capability to understand what's happening.
But doesn't that also increase the possibility of clashes with Russian forces?
Absolutely, and this is another dimension. We are clearly reacting to what Russia has done to change the battlefield, for good or for bad. That's what's happening. And there is the potential that we are going to come up against Russian-backed forces, Iranian forces, and others. There may be some division of labor here in terms of U.S. Special Forces only being in certain parts of Syria where we will diminish the likelihood of that. But it's certainly a possibility. And it also does suggest that we're trying to immunize and protect some of these forces, because if we've got troops embedded, they're less likely to come under attack by the Russians or even the Turks.
What is your sense? Is this the beginning of more U.S. boots on the ground?
Yes. I don't think there's any way to look at this other than to say, look, this is the beginning of a preparation of the battlefield to be able to then help with assaults on Raqqa, the capital of ISIS in Syria, to help in raids in Ramadi, and to try to dismantle and ultimately defeat ISIS. You're not going to do that from the air alone. Everyone now admits that. We understand it. If that's the case, then we're going to have to help enable those on the ground fighting. It doesn't mean 100,000 troops, but it probably means more than just 50.
All right, we'll see where this goes next. For Juan Zarate, I'm Jeff Pegues, and that is Flashpoints.